She's a hot, young Grammy Award winner who goes by one name, Monica. And this summer she has a best-selling album called After the Storm. The title hints at the tragedy she's lived through. Her boyfriend killed himself right in front of her. Tonight, Monica talks about what happened that night and how it changed her. Deborah Roberts brings us Monica's story.
She has suffered in silence, hidden from view.
Some days are good, some days are bad. I think that's the most honest and sincere way to put it.
If I can get you out the street, you don't need to be with me. Monica, torn between two worlds, lured to the light, the fame, the glitter, drawn to the dark, the streets, the scene, haunted by a tragedy so great as to be almost unimaginable.
I could go through, gory details that would spin heads for days. That's not my goal. My goal is to show people me after the storm.
So gone over you. She had lived on the edge, nearly died at the edge, and now she was back.
Some of the things that I've chosen have had repercussions. I've suffered them. I've learned from them. And I keep moving. I'm just thankful to still be here.
You've enjoyed some amazing success. Multi-platinum albums, #1, the youngest artist to have a #1 record, one of People magazine's most beautiful people, a movie already, a starring role in a movie. How did you take all this in? You're not even 23 years old.
Right.
How do you take all this in?
One day at a time, and I look at it as fun.
Even as a little girl, Monica joyfully embraced music. But when she was 6, her world was shattered by her parents' divorce. She found herself pulled between two dramatically different worlds, that of her church-going mother and her street-smart father, who even taught his daughter to fire a gun.
It's kind of like when I say I'm a mixture of two worlds. That's just what I became. When my parents split, I became two separate people.
But those two people would eventually collide. Just 12 years old when she was discovered in a talent show, Monica's almost instant fame put her on a fast and slippery track. The more success she tasted, the more she turned back to the life she knew with her father, a gritty and often dark world.
I chose to hang in places where I had to witness a lot of things that most people my age wouldn't dream about seeing and probably couldn't sleep if they did.
The streets?
The streets. The streets.
Her memories of those days are vivid.
As I walk out the door, I hear these blows. Who would have ever thought it was a human being beat repeatedly by two people with steel bats?
It was in the darker part of her life that Monica would meet two troubled men who would forever alter her life, men she thought she could save. Her first real love was Corey Miller, a rapper whose stage name was Sea Murder, a name which would resonate with irony when Corey was arrested for the murder of a 16-year-old boy. There are some articles that had said that Corey had a previous record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
And you knew that?
Yeah.
But it didn't bother you?
By no means. See, the person they talk about is not the person that I know.
Monica's choice in men would prove even more lethal the next time.
I think just because he was brought up, in an area where people do whatever they have to survive.
Did he make choices that were illegal?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Drugs?
Definitely.
Violence?
Probably. He kept me very sheltered from a lot of stuff that was going on, even though I would never pretend that I was not aware. Don't get me wrong. I would never pretend that I was not aware.
But then, Jarvis would bring Monica face to face with unspeakable horror. It was July 18, 2000. Jarvis called Monica from the phone in his car. He told her he was on his way to the cemetery where his brother was buried, that he wanted to be with him.
When you got there, what was happening?
He was very somber. And that's when I knew that his mind was made up.
Monica stood pleading, but Jarvis had locked the car doors.
And were you aware there was a gun in the car?
Absolutely.
So you saw?
Yes. Yeah.
Did he say anything?
Oh, yeah, he said a lot of things, which I feel like are definitely only for me. Most important thing that he said was that he loved me, and that nobody ever tried the way I tried.
After more than an hour of talking, Jarvis abruptly rolled up the car window, turned away from Monica, and reached down.
He grabs a gun? And what, puts it to his head?
Mm-hmm. 1 minute we're talking, and the next minute, it just totally blew my mind. I think the sad part is that I was prepared for a lot of things. Just not this. Just not this.
In one swift move, Jarvis put the gun to his head and pulled the trigger.
When this happened, you automatically ran to your car and grabbed your gun.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you have a gun?
I've always had one. I'm licensed to carry one. I don't have a felony record. I've always had one.
What were you trying to do?
Get inside the car. The car was locked. My goal was to be near him.
Monica blew out the window of the car and unlocked the door, determined still to save him.
I made my way into that vehicle. I continued talking to him. I continued telling him that I loved him, God loved him, and it was going to be okay. When I asked him, did it hurt? You know, he tried to say something back. But I touched him, and I could still feel life in him.
It took 20 minutes for the paramedics to arrive. But by then, Jarvis Weems was dead, telling only Monica why he'd chosen to die. She was left to channel her grief and pain into song. Left alone to turn loss into lessons.
Monica, a lot of people look at you and they see the physical presence. You are a beautiful woman, an accomplished woman. But then they hear about the ex-boyfriend who's in jail on a murder charge, the former boyfriend who committed suicide, and they can't put the two together.
Well, don't try. Don't try. Accept me for who I am. You know, learn from my experiences. Don't use me as an excuse to further mess up your life or do things wrong because you say I did it. Use it as a reason to change it.
Good advice. When we come back...